Hello everyone! In this video, we are going to discuss how to write an abstract. As you may have already known, an abstract is a necessary component of an academic paper, whether it's a course assignment paper, a dissertation, or a journal article. Being a short and self-contained passage that summarizes the main idea of the paper, the abstract is very important because it gives readers a first impression of the paper that follows, letting readers decide whether to continue reading and showing them what to look for if they do. So how to write a good abstract? Well, in order to help you write a good abstract, I will first introduce some basic knowledge about it, that is, its common types and common structures. Then I will give you specific suggestions on writing abstracts. There are primarily two different types of abstract, the descriptive abstract and the informative abstract. They have different aims, and as a consequence, they have different components. Please pause the video to read the following two abstracts and consider the major difference between them. One most obvious difference between these two abstracts is the length. The first abstract is shorter than the second one. The first abstract is actually descriptive, while the second is informative. Now, let's look at each type more closely. The descriptive abstract, as its name suggests, provides a brief description of the main topic and the purpose of a research paper, together with an overview of the content. It's usually very short, with 100 words or less, like the example you have just read. It only presents the goal and the methods of the research, without providing the results and conclusions. Unlike the descriptive abstract, the informative one aims to inform readers of all the main arguments or the important results in the research paper. In other words, the informative abstract presents not only the purpose and methods of the research, but also the results, conclusions, and even recommendations. Its length may vary from a short paragraph to a whole page. The second abstract you just read is an example of informative abstract. It gives a full account of the research, including not only its goal and methods, but also its results and conclusions. In fact, the majority of abstracts that you read in journals and dissertations are informative. The abstracts you may be required to write for your research papers are also very likely to be informative. After knowing the abstract types, let's come to the common structures of abstracts. Since an abstract is a condensed version of the paper, the structure of the abstract is determined by how the paper is organized. Research papers in humanities are mostly based on logical argument and analysis. Such papers are usually organized into three parts: introduction, body, and conclusion. The introduction first identifies the topic, then summarizes the previous studies related to this topic, and finally presents the thesis statement. The body part presents evidence, for example, quotes from primary sources like literary texts, or facts drawn from secondary sources like biographies of authors, to support the thesis. The conclusion summarizes the argument and restates the thesis, and may even point out implications of the research to give a final stress on its importance. In accordance with the introduction, body, conclusion structure, abstracts for most papers in humanities are organized into three parts: background, thesis, and conclusion. Background identifies the topic and/or briefly reviews the related research. Thesis presents the researcher's point of view, and conclusion summarizes the major arguments. Now pause the video to read the following abstract and analyze its structure. It's very clear that sentence 1 is the background of the research. Sentences 2 and 3 present the thesis statement, and sentence 4 is the conclusion. Different from humanities, research papers in social and natural sciences tend to be based on empirical studies such as surveys, case studies, and experiments. Such papers are often organized into 4 parts: introduction, methods, results and discussion, and a conclusion. The introduction establishes the field of the study, reviews the related literature, and raises research questions or hypotheses. The methods part describes the research tools and procedures. Results and discussion answers the research questions, provides possible reasons for specific findings, and links these findings to those of the previous studies. Conclusion summarizes the major findings and discusses the implications. Accordingly, abstracts for papers in social and natural sciences are organized into 4 parts: background, purpose, methods, results, and conclusions. Background identifies the topic and/or reviews the related research, but this part is optional. Many abstracts may skip this step and begin with the purpose of the research. Methods of the research are then described, followed by a summary of the results and conclusions. Now pause the video to read the following abstract and analyze its structure. Obviously, sentence 1 is the research purpose. Sentences 2 and 3 are the methods. Sentences 4 and 5 are the results and conclusions. Now, with the knowledge of the types and structures of abstracts, do you feel ready to write your own abstract? But no hurry. Before you get started, I have a few suggestions for you to follow. Suggestion 1. Write your abstract after your paper is done. In other words, don't get your abstract started until you have finished your paper, because the abstract is an overview of everything you write about in your paper. So save writing your abstract for last. Even if you think that you know what your paper is going to be about, you should still save the abstract for last, so that you will be able to give a much more accurate summary of your work. Suggestion 2. Meet the length requirement for writing your abstract. The abstract you're writing often has a specific length requirement, whether you're writing for submission in a class or publication in a journal. The 6th edition APA manual suggests that an abstract should be between 150 and 250 words. However, if you write for publication in a journal, you will find that exact length requirements vary from one journal to another. If you're writing the abstract for a course paper, then you need to check with your instructor to see if he or she has a specific length requirement. Suggestion 3. Avoid citations, tables, and graphs in your abstract. It's a common practice that journals do not allow tables and graphs in the abstract. References to sources and citations are often not allowed in the abstract either. Even if you are not writing for publication in a journal, but for submission in class, you should avoid these things in your abstract. One last suggestion: ask someone to read your abstract. Having someone else read your abstract is a great way for you to know whether you have summarized your research well. Try to find someone who doesn't know everything about your research work. Ask him or her to read your abstract and then tell you what he or she has understood from it. This will let you know whether you have adequately communicated your key points in a clear manner. All right, as we are coming to the end of the mini-lecture, let's review what we've learned today. First of all, we've discussed 2 types of abstracts, descriptive and informative, and their essential differences. Then we've learned the common structures of abstracts for research papers in humanities, social and natural sciences. In addition, we've gone through some tips for writing abstracts. Hope you will find all these tips useful in your own practice. That's all for today. See you next time.